All right, I'm going to show you all the different steps. The first step, what I always do, what I prefer to do, and what most competitors will do, is you'll start on the table. You're working on the table for about a minute, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less, depending on if the dough is hard or soft. And I'm just going to step you through that. Basically, you always want to make sure you have plenty of flour. Make sure you've got a ton of flour. You must have a lot of flour. The flour will actually work into the cell structure of the dough and will help kind of lubricate it to help it get larger, help it from tearing, help it from ripping, and help it relax faster. So be sure before you start, if you don't have enough flour, be sure to ask for more. Most of the time they'll be more than happy to give you as much flour as you want. You cover the dough ball completely with flour. Make sure you got plenty on top, and you're just going to smash this down from front to back. You're going to get this dough ball. I'm going to shake some of that off so you can see it better. You're going to smash this dough ball down, back and forth, all the way across. Get it nice and flat. Now, I always like to flip it over. The top has a little bit of a harder shell on it, so as you spin it, it'll slide a lot easier on the table rather than the side that was down, which is a little bit stickier. Now, throw a little more flour. Now, I'm going to pay close attention to this outside edge. What I'm doing is what I like to call killing the edge. I am breaking that edge down. This outside edge acts like a rubber band on the dough. It will keep this dough snapping back. There's one of the biggest contributors to making it snap back is this outside ring. So you're going to spend I like to spend about a minute on the table breaking this edge down as far as I can get it. Be careful, if you rip a hole early on, this early, it'll just about do you in. And just continue working that. Just pay close attention to stretching that outside edge as much as you possibly can. You can kind of see this hand is holding it and just letting a little bit go at a time. This hand is just stretching it. Don't worry about the middle, only this outside edge. And then I like to, when you can see it kind of bunching up, as you can see it over here, you know you're doing it. Dough needs to stay as round as possible. You start slapping or start spinning this in the air and it is an oval shaped, that's bad. That can really hurt you. And the next step is I'm going to come off the table, I'm going to slap it, I'm going to spin it, and then I'll show you how to do that next. Now I just come off the table with the dough, and I'm going to do a series of slaps, back and forth slapping motion. It's kind of thinning out the middle a little bit. This works really well for me. A lot of people have a hard time doing this, especially when the dough starts getting large. I'm going to give it some tosses in the air. You want to be careful that when you catch it, you watch, I kind of follow it down, so there's no abrupt stop. When it comes down, easily tear a hole in the dough if you have an abrupt stop coming down. So you want to definitely let it come down easy. And even if it looks like you're going to have to grab it, just let it drop. So that way it'll just land on the floor. Just pick it right back up, and then you go again with it. So I like to go back and forth between those three items. Actually, those two items. Here's the third one, which is edge stretching. You're just going to work your way around the dough. Come a little closer. And you just kind of come around that outside edge and just kind of stretch it out with your fingers. And you can do it several different ways. This, that. You can actually just go a little wider. And just don't spend a whole lot of time in one spot. Continue to go around. This will allow the dough to relax. You do this spot, and as you come back to that spot again, it will have relaxed. And you can stretch it even further the next time around. So I like to go that way several times. Do some more slaps. And when you get to a certain point, it will get really hard to toss this in the air. As you can tell, it's starting to get very thin. Typically the dough in Italy will be a stronger dough and can take a much more of a pounding than, say, the dough you would find in Las Vegas. And you'll need to adjust accordingly. You just kind of go back and forth between those methods. Give it some slaps. And that's exactly what you don't want to do. but I wanted to show you that, to show you how you can fix it. Now you can continue working dough. You can continue working the outside edge and just basically ignore that big rip. In Italy, typically the rules will allow you not to go to the floor. I'm sorry, let me back up. In Las Vegas, the rules will not allow you to go to the floor until 3 minutes and 30 seconds has passed. So if you can go back to the table and attempt to repair this hole. In Italy, you have to go back to the table, because once you set it on the floor in Italy, regardless of the amount of time you have left, you've only got 10 seconds on the floor. So keep that in mind. Make sure you understand the rules in advance. Now the next thing is I'm going to show you how to repair this. I've gotten this about as big as I can get it without tearing some holes. I'm going to put this on the floor. I'm going to show you how to repair that hole. And I'm going to show you how to get a little more mileage out of the dough once you do get it on the floor. One of the more important things to remember as this dough gets bigger, because right now this looks really, really huge. When you set this on the floor, this will snap back a lot. You will lose almost 50% of this size once you put that on the floor. Now, and keep in mind when we repair this hole will cost you some size as well. But these holes are easy to fix. I'm actually going to tear a few more on here to show you how you can fix these. I'm going to show you how to get a little more mileage on the floor if you're in Las Vegas. You can't actually take a minute and a half on the floor to try and get it a bit bigger. Italy, you need to work this out as much as you can in the air, because once you hit that floor, you've only got 10 seconds. So you just have to pretty much forget it on the floor. Everything has to be done in the air or on the table.